Hey everybody, it's Captain Kyle and I'm here with the third installment of Transformers we never thought we'd get. Now I have 6 more, but gotta tell you the next 2 videos will each have 7, so bonuses. But speaking of bonuses, I'm gonna, at the end of this video, show a toy that I should have shown last video, but I didn't even realize I had it. That's what happens when you have a huge collection. But let's get into these 6 more toys that we never thought we'd get. Be right back. Alright, so the first one I want to talk about is Hauler. This is the eHobby exclusive version. Came with Sunstorm as like a set. But he appeared in one episode, never in robot mode, and he was the wrong color. I mean, they could have eliminated him entirely just by popping in one little line.
Hauler! Pull him off!
The name is Grapple Twit.
But they didn't do that. So now we have Hauler, who has had a more modern version put up. This is the Legacy Velocitron Speedia, all that shit, version of Road Hauler. And they're both very cool and very similar Transformers. In fact, Hauler has been such a thing that there's third-party ones that you can get as well. But what's interesting, I love what they've done with the backstory of this character. Made him a former Constructicon who did not like the way the other Constructicons were acting, I guess, after they, encountered the Robo Smasher, which is a weird name for something that reprograms you, and decided to join the Autobots instead. So that's kind of cool. I wish they had actually done something more with him in the G1 cartoon and the G1 comic. He never appeared. Well, the Marvel one. I know he appeared in other things, but he's pretty cool. Obviously a repaint of Grapple, and I don't think he's building any solar power towers, but to appear once in the cartoon, basically dragging Hound's ass out of a ditch, and then never again, and then to have all these toys made of him. I mean, I only have 3, but there might be more. I don't know. Is there a Masterpiece Edition? There should be. There's Masterpiece Editions of things that I'm surprised there's Masterpiece Editions of. But the eHobby one, obviously, again, a lime green repaint of Grapple with the extending crane, and he looks cool. I wish they went back and fixed his colors in the cartoon at least, if they're not going to do that other solution I talked about, which would have eliminated a cool character, so I'm kind of glad they didn't. But there you have it. Hauler is one of the Transformers that we never thought we'd get. We saw him once and we're like, who the hell is that? And, then they didn't refer to him again. But it's not like that hasn't happened with other characters. So that's number 1 on the list. Now the second Transformer that is on my list appeared in the show, not the comic book, but the cartoon, but wasn't even a Transformer, wasn't even from Cybertron. I'm talking, of course, about Nightbird. Enter the Nightbird. There she is. And I think this version is a little bit different than, say, this version, which is from the Rise of the Beasts. They love using the names of characters invented by other writers for other stuff. But that's the way the contract works. Now these 2 Nightbirds are not the first Nightbirds we've seen. There was a repaint, slight remold of the Thrilling 30 RC, which I wish I had that one. I think it was only released in Japan, and it's pretty expensive, so unless I see it for a really good deal, I'm probably not going to get it. There's also a Masterpiece version, which is based on the Masterpiece RC of Nightbird, which is very cool. Now, I've done a review on this one, so you've seen her various modes. And you've seen the modes of this particular Nightbird because, like I mentioned in the last video, they seem to just take a whole bunch of the different female characters and just want to redo them using the same mold over and over and over again. This mold was used for Chromia, who was featured in the last video. And she is a pretty cool toy. The mold is not exactly the same. This is the Generation Selects version, but you will see this mold used again and again for female Autobots and even female Decepticons. And I don't know if they're done using it yet. We'll find out. But there she is as a sleek Cybertronian car, which she was never on Cybertron. She was built by an Earth scientist who wanted a ninja robot. I mean, can you blame him? Don't we all want ninja robots? And was reprogrammed by Megatron to take care of business. Well, take care of the Autobots. Forgot to flip something out. So there she is. She's got her front end fixed. Well, a cool vehicle. And I think you can probably finagle her into one of the Orthia or other merge groups. Not 100% sure, but can probably do it. There you have Nightbird. I have 2 of the versions out there, and there's even a whole bunch of third-party stuff. So I think sometimes Hasbro looks and sees the popularity of third-party versions of characters they haven't put out, and they're like, we want some of that money. So, but number 2 is Nightbird. Now 3 and 4 I kind of have to bring out together because they were just recently released in a set of 2. You have Ariel and Dion. Oh wait, I'm sorry. This is not the Dion that came with the set. That is actually the club exclusive Dion, but it's not the first Dion that came out. There was a Dion that came out with the first Orion packs, who was a repaint of Cup, and he was made from Wheelie of all things. Wheelie, a recolored Wheelie. I am so sorry for Dion for being associated with the Jar Jar Binks of the Transformers universe. But we have this Dion that came out later as kind of an apology, or well, hopefully to help people forget about the Wheelie repaint. And a cool club exclusive they did come out with in the 2-pack, and I still haven't fixed his arms, so hopefully they don't fall out. But they did come out with this other version of Dion, which is based on Cup, as Orion Pax is, but they were both transport trucks, so it kind of makes sense. And they were best friends. Yeah. Now, since I went over in a review with that version of Dion, I will quickly put this, which is a repaint, as you probably know, of Hotshot. And yes, he does come with a Minicon partner. I don't know where Coptor is, but I'm hoping to find him because I have other plans for him. Well, okay, it's not that sinister, but... So it's a repaint of a Hotshot that was more of the Generations, or I forget which Hotshot it was, because Dion did not come with a Minicon. The Minicon would normally go here. Coptor is in the wind, you know. Okay. Not meant as that kind of joke. But this is the cool version of Dion, where he's actually more of a warrior. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about who Dion is, and a lot of people think it might be Ultra Magnus that he was rebuilt into by Alpha Trion, who might not have saved Dion, actually. I mean, he saved Elita 1, well, Ariel, and made her into Elita 1, saved Optimus Prime, but he was backlogged on a whole bunch of different wounded from other battles, so he might not have gotten to Dion in time, so he may just be gone, which, you know, is one of the reasons why Optimus Prime is so dead set against stopping Megatron. Not saying that there aren't other good reasons, but if he survived, he could be Ultra Magnus, he could be somebody else. The colors would lean more towards Huffer, actually, but the personality is not the same. And some people have mentioned Cup, but Cup is way too old for that. But there you have Dion. He is number 3, but he is paired in the new set with Ariel, who is the War Dawn version, pre-Elita 1 version. Now, you can take off her ponytail in case you want her to, I don't know, maybe be more Billie Jean, fair as fair. Or she could be, you know, Sandy from Greece. And what I find interesting about all these War Dawn people is they're giving him guns. They did not have guns in their one appearance. Guns would not have helped them out, though I did find out something interesting. This gun is based on an Elita 1 design for a gun, kind of like Elita Light. But Ariel is the next one on the list, so that's number 4. We never thought we'd get an Ariel. I mean, we were hoping for an Elita 1. We weren't going to get our hopes up about a precursor to Elita 1. But she's kind of neat. I did do a full review on these two, so go ahead and check that out, where he's much more disarmed. Luckily, his arms are behaving at the moment, but I'm not really handling them. I still have to put some clear nail polish around the inner posts, let it dry, and hopefully that'll thicken it up and provide some additional friction. But so there we have Dion, number 3, and Ariel, number 4. Number 5, there's only one made, and it is Firestar, aka Novastar. They originally aimed for Firestar, then there was, I guess, problems with Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which oddly enough had the voice of Bumblebee doing the voice of Spider-Man. And Kathy Garver, wonderful voice actress who played Firestar on that show. But this was Firestar and apparently Inferno's girlfriend, something like that. And again, this is a case of a lot of molds being used very similarly. Now this is a slight retooling. It's kind of based on the same mold of Chromia and our dear friend Nightbird, but it's definitely a different, slightly different. It's made to combine, but cool vehicle, transforms slightly differently, does not have the crotch piece that keeps coming off. Firestar's not that kind of girl, but a similar transformation and a similar mode, except you've got some extra stuff, like you can put the fist foot thingy that she uses for combining on the back there. I actually like to use it also as like a shield, if you noticed before. And I kind of like this configuration of it. And you can always take her weapon and put it on the side. I kind of wish he had two of these. Again, I like symmetrical things, but that's not how this world works. But that is Firestar. Only one figure ever made of Firestar officially. I'm sure there's something out there in the third-party realm. I wouldn't be surprised, though Chromia and Alita 1, of course, were much more prevalent. So that is number 5. Number 6 is not technically a Transformer, but appeared in the movie and subsequently in Season 3. It was, of course, the Quintessons! And the first Quintesson we ever got was the Alpha Quintesson. From the Energon line, he did not transform. He had a weapon reminiscent somewhat of the Quintessons that we saw in the movie. He had these tentacles with chainsaws and clamps, and I don't even know what that is. That looks like it would very, very much hurt in some kind of exam. Launching harpoon thing. It actually launches pretty well. And he's got wheels on the bottom, so he rolls. But we've gotten a lot of Quintessons since then. We did get the one from Cyberverse, one of the ones from there, and I actually did a comparison. And he's got the 5 faces, and you didn't have to worry about popping one of them on. One thing I will say is I hated in Cyberverse how they didn't call them Quintessons, they called them Quintessons. It's like, dude, there's reference material out there. You don't have to just make up your own pronunciation. I don't know if that's the more technically English way of saying it. If you threw it into an AI, how do you say this word if it would say it Quintessons? But Quintessons are what they've always been, so why? But then we got a couple much more traditional Quintessons. One is in the Pit of Judgment, which I did not break out for this. I'll be breaking it out soon for somebody else in there. Basically, you had to put a plate on it. It was a real pain in the ass. You had to sometimes shave it down. Like, not all the faces were on there, but he's got a nice chair. He's got his little hover thing. He's got his tentacles, and he's got the 5 faces that you can turn around and guilty, 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 guilty. Innocent. Just kidding. He's got a little post thing on his base that allows him to hover above the chair, or you could just take him out of the chair and just have him stand there or hover there. But yeah, Quintessons were like a major villain, somewhat in the movie and definitely going through Season 3. We didn't see him in Season 4 because it was only 3 episodes. I haven't seen all of Headmasters. I don't know if you noticed with the rolling, but Alpha Quintesson's tentacles move. So if you don't have this toy, it's kind of neat, even though it doesn't transform. Now this does transform, and I think this might transform. I'm not sure, but I would not transform them. I think I transformed this once when I got it into its weird base mode. But no, that's how Quintessons are. That's how they're gonna stay. And we've even gotten third-party Quintessons. This one's kind of unpainted. It's all black, but it's got the 5 faces of darkness on there. He's got the tentacles. They're more like wires that you might snip out of a package, but this was an inexpensive third-party version of the Quintesson. It's like, it's baby, little baby. But yeah, they were such a major part of the show, and we didn't get them until Energon, and it wasn't even a proper one. We had to wait to Cyberverse. So that is our 6th, but as you recall, I hope, at the beginning of this, I did say I was gonna show something that I should have shown in the last video. And coming riding in, it is the Fall of Cybertron Impactor. I did not realize I had this. I was actually looking it up and considering buying it. And I'm like, do I really need it? He doesn't look that much. And then I went to put the other impactors back on the record shelf because I have a record shelf. If you don't have a record shelf, you should get a record shelf. Just don't wreck it. But yeah, so I looked and I'm like, wait a minute, I already have this. It's not the first time I bought something I've already had. Within days, I accidentally bought 2 Combiner War Prowls. But he comes with lots of weapons and a big head, so he can merge into Ruination, which is technically a Decepticon, but apparently not a Decepticon in the Fall of Cybertron universe. But he does transform into a impactor-like transformer. He's got the huge head there so that he could do the kind of Emirate Zyron Ruination thing. I don't think Emirate Zyron would be like, if I'm even pronouncing that right, would be that thrilled being called, the head of Ruination. But then again, he did help plan Operation Volcano. And wasn't he the one who couldn't actually, wasn't even sure if he could transform? So this is a repaint of Fall of Cybertron Onslaught, which kind of makes sense. Similar vehicles if you have to put something together. Though he's got a special harpoon gun, which is more reminiscent of an impactor weapon. But pretty cool. I'm not sure if I think I've transformed him right. Hard to tell with some of these Fall of Cybertron guys. But there he is with his blue Wrecker Autobot symbol on his chest. Woohoo! So I don't have the other members of the Fall of Cybertron Wreckers. I don't even know if I was aware when they came out that they existed, but one of these days maybe I'll get them and then I can merge them into Ruination. So there you have them, 6 more characters we did not expect to get toys of. And, a little bonus from last video. And feel free to put your guesses for those that are going to be in the next 2 videos. Some are pretty obvious if you're familiar with some of the episodes, like the Search for Alpha Trion, which introduced Firestar, Novastar, whatever the hell you want to call her. But I really hope you're enjoying these videos, especially these kind of fun dives into the lore at the same time as I enjoy making them. And while you're mulling over whether you want to try to get these guys for your collection, which I have put links in the description so you can try to find most of these. Some of them are pretty easy. But you can check out the second part, which Impactor was part of if you haven't already, right over here. And of course, like, share, subscribe, all the stuff. We will see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting.